not too long ago, my old buddy Chad, who I used to go to the gym, bar, and church with, invited me out to go to a rave with him and his girl. We'll call her Stacy, and his homie, we'll call him Wheels. Just keep everything anonymous. I know the names are kind of ridiculous, but this is actually a true story, and it was the only time I'd ever been to a rave, and the only time I had taken MDMA. So the first thing I should say is that I really did not want to go out that night at all. The only reason I went to the rave was because I missed hanging out with bro, and I hadn't seen him in probably a couple months, and I didn't know the next time we'd have a chance to hang out. So I said, oh, whatever, man, you know. I remember I was like, man, like, you know, sounds a little bit lame, but I'll go to hang out. So after about a 2-hour-long conversation of him convincing me to go, I was pumping gas at a gas station and getting ready to head out to the spot. As I pulled up, I saw a lot of well-dressed people in the streets and just all over the place, all gathering towards one shipping warehouse is what I'd like to call it. So I parked my car and met up with my friends. I was immediately told to put any paraphernalia in an undisclosed location, which I refused to reveal due to my own YouTuber confidentiality. So we got to the shipping warehouse and security patted us down. We gave them our tickets and headed inside. This shipping warehouse turned out to be a really nice rave club with a bar on the second floor and a mosh area on the first one. There was already a DJ there playing some sort of rave EDM music and a huge crowd of people. So, you know, we hung out, we listened to the music, and then we went upstairs. There was a bar and a balcony. So what we did was we went up to the balcony and passed around our little party favors, our M, our happy pills, the candy. So what I was handed was a saran wrap with a bit of mushrooms and the smallest plastic lunch sandwich bag you've ever seen. You couldn't put a dime in there. So I have this saran wrap mushrooms in one hand, and I have this tiny little dime bag in the other hand, and I put them in my hoodie pocket, and I ate the mushrooms, and then the saran wrap was in my pocket, and I don't know, I simply lost track of the little dime bag for a few moments, and I threw away the saran wrap, and then I realized I had no idea where my little dime bag went, and then I realized that it was probably still in the saran wrap. So very professionally, very slick, like no one noticed. Skyrim Stealth 100. I'm literally Sanji, sneak build, rogue main every game. Prefer strength warrior builds, actually. I just thought that sounded cool, but that's besides the point. I stuck my hand, no, listen, I looked into the garbage can. I saw my saran wrap, and I looked really closely, and I could see a dime bag, and nobody was looking. I went real quick. I just grabbed it. No problem. Back on track. I was told that when I wanted to participate, that I should put the contents of the dime bag into my palm and lick it off my hand. So I did this very discreetly right then and there, and we kept hanging out, chilling. You know, we were outside. I had my vape on me. I was just blowing some smoke or whatever. I'm more often than not introverted. I don't hate socializing or being the center of attention. I can definitely do it. Just I've been taking the option to do the opposite a lot recently, and it was actually really cool coming to this rave because everybody there was really nice, and you know, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like I couldn't feel any ill will from anyone. So I guess rave culture dictates that you tell people that they are loved and shower them with gifts. I was still waiting for the candy to hit when mid-hit my vape died on me and I was left nicotineless. I was pretty distressed, but still doing my best to have a good time. This is when my buddy Chad started introducing me to people and telling them it was my first time at a rave. We're still on the balcony, the only place where you could smoke, so I was instantly tracking down where I was going to be bumming ciggies off of. I started meeting people back to back, just different groups of people, you know, just hey, come over here, hey, I know this guy, hey, this is my friend, this guy, you know, and you know, people offered to buy me drinks, which I may or may not have accepted, which had caused my candy to kick in rather abruptly. I didn't really know how to explain it, so ChatGPT explains Molly feels like euphoria, a strong feeling of happiness and pleasure. It can make you feel like everything is positive and great, especially in social settings like raves. Increased energy, it can make you feel more awake, energized, and enthusiastic, which is why it's popular at dance parties or festivals. Heightened sensory perception, colors might appear more vibrant, music sounds better, and physical touch feels more intense. This is why many people describe the experience as a sensory overload. The part about the music sounding better is really funny, because when I got there, I wasn't very impressed with the music, and by the time I left, I said it was alright. I called it, I don't hate it, not my favorite. The next thing ChatGPT says about what does MDMA feel like is emotional warmth. Many users feel deeply connected to others, more empathetic and emotionally open. You might feel like you're bonding with people around you, even strangers. 5. Altered sense of time. Time can feel like it's moving either faster or slower than usual, which is a common side effect of the drug. Intense sociability. People often feel more social, chatty, and affectionate, which makes it easier to connect with others at parties or festivals. That said, the experience isn't always positive. Some users can feel anxious, dehydrated, or experience a come down afterward, where they feel low or mentally drained. It's also important to remember that MDMA can be risky, especially with things like purity, dosage, and setting, so people should be cautious if they choose to take it. So the first thing I want to say is that minus the negative effects, I did pretty much feel all of these. I am usually a lot more closed off, and a bit more judgmental, and just far less willing to communicate with people or talk to them or give them the light of day. And I definitely found myself making a lot of friends, not remembering a lot of names, but getting a lot of names. The music was alright, you know. I'm sorry to be that guy. I do prefer my own playlist. I understand that my playlist isn't for everybody. It is what it is. So I went down to like the mosh pit area or whatever. I listened to the music. It was pretty chill. You know, I met a few people. A lot of people were giving me bracelets. One girl gave me sunglasses, and then another girl gave me something completely entirely different. I left the rave to go enjoy some fresh nicotine out on the balcony when this girl came up to me and said, I'm not going to imitate her voice, but she said, "Hey, beautiful." And then, you know, we talked a little bit. I was more or less closed off. You know, I was playing it hella cool, but she had infinite riz, but I didn't really go for it. I was just watching her, you know, seeing what she did, how she was gonna move, interrogating me, I think flirting with me, calling me cute, and, you know, making physical contact with me. I thought she was coming off really strong, which I don't have a huge problem with, but my mom warned me about this. And to be fair, it's not like I'm not guilty of doing the same thing. In fact, not too long ago, before this rave day or whatever, I myself fumbled a situationship by maybe doing the exact same thing. Explained to her what I'd been up to before she came up and talked to me, and she knew that I wasn't very sober at all. And I'm pretty sure she ended up sitting on like my lap at one point. But here's the thing, chat. Here's the thing. She came back with one of her friends, and, you know, she came, sat on my lap or whatever. She's been like real flirty. We were talking, you know, and then her friend came up or whatever, and she may or may not have rubbed it on my knee. So I walked away and started looking for a new cigarette to bum when I ran into Chad's buddy Wheels, who I don't talk to very often, but he came up to me and asked if I was doing alright. I definitely didn't mention the previous event. I was kind of shocked about my required nicotine, and, you know, me and homie Wheels, we had a little conversation, and he just told me that, you know, I'm getting older now, and that he was asking around about my personal life, where I live at, where I stay at, you know, what kind of parents I'm close with, etc. And he just kind of put me on, and he just told me that I'm grown now and that I need to start taking care of my parents. And I was really happy that I ran into him, because I kind of just realized that I was really wasting my time at this rave, just like I felt like. I mean, I went out to come see my friend, see what he's been up to or whatever, and overall I did have a good time. I don't think I would do any of it again, but having the chat with Wheels was really cool. He had like a very similar vibe to me the whole time. Not very head bobby, you know what I'm saying? Not the most chipper chap. But he told me a story about how him and his dad are mechanics, and how his dad told him to go work across town at a rival mechanic shop. And so he said, I really don't want to, but fine. He said I really didn't want to do it, but my dad was kicking me out of his mechanic shop and forcing me to go work at the mechanic shop across town. I didn't get it. I didn't want to go. I thought it was stupid, but I went. And then I was working there for maybe 8 months when my boss, I'm speaking from his perspective now, from Wheels' perspective, excuse me. He said, my boss came in and he said, hey, so I found out that there's this mechanic shop over here, and there's this guy who owns it, and you're his son. And then Wheels was like, yeah, man, that's pretty much it. and that he got fired on the spot. And he told me that I need to go find out how somebody somewhere, probably likely my dad, makes a living, and help him out with that potentially, because you know I've been a kid my whole life, and everybody's been taking care of me and helping me, and just now that I'm getting older or whatever, it's my turn to return the favor, I suppose. And I really appreciated the conversation. I felt like it was something I needed to hear, and definitely not something I was thinking about as often as I should be. Then we all left and went to a so-called after party. It was under a bridge, man, and it was really hilarious because like it was my buddy Chad's idea to go there. And so I went there with Buddy Wheels, and we pull up and we get out of the car, and I look, and we're under a bridge, and there's like a garbage can, and there's like a fire in the garbage can, and then there's like a DJ with a little DJ set up behind it, and I'd say maybe like 10-20 people-ish there. And so I turned to my Buddy Wheels now and I go, "Hey bro, you trying to come hang out under the bridge? They got a garbage can with a fire in it." And then he tried really hard not to laugh. He looked around, he looked back at me, he said, "Yeah, crackhead shit, huh?" I drove home probably 10 minutes later, watched some Family Guy, fell asleep in bed cuddling my cat. It was awesome. So moral of the story is I really don't recommend you do any of this. It all sucked. It felt like a waste of time. I mean, I don't know, I don't regret it, because now I kind of know not to go do it again. You feel me? But I just recommend you work on yourself, you work on your business. I don't see why you should want to go to a rave. I don't know why you'd want to surround yourself with drugs and promiscuous women. And it was probably a week later when I was telling this entire story to my homie Babbitt on Twitch, Babbitt420 I believe, and one of his homies, and they asked me how old I was, and I replied 23. And so my homie Babbitt's buddy, we'll call him Steve. Steve said, well, when I was 16, I used to do a lot of candy, like every day for a long time, and it really messed me up, and I think I'm still very messed up from it. So if I was you, I probably wouldn't do it until I was at least maybe 25, 26 minimum. And you know, I couldn't agree with them more. I definitely felt, you know, not hungover, but just my dopamine receptors were just a little bit sapped afterwards. So overall, it's not for me. I'm sorry if it's for you. Peace and blessings. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more awesome story time videos.
Riding through the hills and you wearing a making all this money, like what could go wrong? Cause I know you've been jamming to my song. I know you love me so long. Riding through the hills and you wearing a making all this money, like what could go